What is up, guys, and welcome back to Koi's Corner. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and leave me a comment letting me know why. Now, when you think of peaceful religions, which one comes to mind first? Maybe Buddhism, possibly Hinduism, but what about the most peaceful religion? Whatever the case may be, very few of us would say Jainism, and that's because we really don't get taught much about it. But that's just what Jainism is. It is the most peaceful religion on the planet by far and has been around for thousands of years. In fact, it is the earliest known religion to all of humanity besides Hinduism. So what is it about Jainism that makes it so peaceful? Let's find out. Now, the complete history of Jainism is far too complicated and far too in-depth because of its age to ever hope to explain in a video like this. This is because of the fact that there are so many conflicting and different accounts to its existence and its origins due to it being over 5,000 years old. But much like Buddhism, in the past 2,500 years, it was pretty much founded upon the principles of one person in the mainstream aspect of what it is now. And because of this, it exists and is practiced almost completely primarily where it was founded in India. Outside of India, you'll find it hard to find a Jainist colony or a Jainist temple. They are pretty rare among the rest of the world, at least compared to the larger religions we are so used to seeing around us now. But Jainism is pretty much based off the teachings of this man. He, much like the Buddha, was raised in a royal family, saw the faults of this style of living, saw the pain it caused, and left, learned what he knows now, what he gave to us in Jainist fashion, and went around teaching it for the rest of his life until he attained nirvana. Because of this, he was the final Tirthankara, or the 24th teacher of God, which means the teacher of the universe and all reality of these practices in Jainism. His teachings were a mixture of old wisdom and his own views on reality and life, but as I said, Jainism is so old and detailed that it's hard to know which came from where. And this religion pretty much focuses on the battle between our true self and aesthetics, art, and the temptations we have surrounding us at all times. And our place as soldiers in this battle is to conquer or to transcend these material aspects of life. If we can do this, we are free from Maya. We are free from the illusion that reality gives us. So how can we do this, or how do Jainists practice this essence? Well, it's mainly done in 5 to 6 cardinal philosophies that almost every Jainist on the planet follows today. But keep in mind, there are variations of these practices depending on where they are around the globe. First, we have Ahimsa, or the practice of non-violence completely in life. And this is what makes Jainism itself the most peaceful religion, because it doesn't just mean non-violence in the sense of human-on-human interaction. It means non-violence in an emotional way, in a physical way towards people, but also to every living, sentient, moving being on this planet, from plants to animals to bugs. The core philosophy and the first pillar of Jainism really is to do as little damage as possible, or no damage whatsoever. This alone is why Jainists are considered the world's first vegetarians and the strictest Jainists vegans, because they don't eat certain meats, eggs, dairy. Some do, but the strict ones do not, which makes them vegan by default. They don't take anything from animals because they're doing the least amount of suffering they can. Pretty much goes to show that even on a religious level, core philosophies can tell us and show us that hurting other animals for our benefit to eat things isn't what we should do, and that doing so in a less harmful way will in turn make us more connected to reality. It's even said that the strictest and most efficient practitioners of Jainism in India sweep the ground before they walk, as to avoid the chance of stepping on a bug. That's how devoted they are to this act of nonviolence. The second core philosophy which they follow, and hopefully I am pronouncing correctly, is Anekantavada, which pretty much means the practice of complete open-mindedness in every aspect of living. This is because of their view that no absolute truth in existence exists. There isn't something that is yes or no, there simply is, and it's always different. This is just as critical as nonviolence in Jainism, because it basically takes the terminology that since each single view we have is subjective, no one way of life or no one thought process or no one opinion has any more merit than anybody else's. Just because people follow it doesn't mean it's right, and that includes Jainism itself. Therefore, if we really want to transcend this Maya, this illusion around us, we have to be open-minded to all of them and not just our own belief system. Because only by doing this do we transcend an attachment to any of them whatsoever, to wanting or thinking one is better than the other, that one is more important than the other. and from this we can get past it. So essentially, if you are practicing Jainism and you hear a philosophy that you don't agree with, it means you study it, you read about it, you try to understand it and accept it as best you can, and then you compare it to how you feel and how you practice your Jainist ways. It's not shutting it out, it's letting it in and seeing how it mingles with your own thoughts. From this we get a complete 360 view of everything we talk about and learn about in this lifestyle, and it's kind of the thing I mimic when I make my videos, or at least most of them. I try to keep most open-minded and double-sided so you can figure out what the truth is for yourself or come to discover the truth on your own. This pillar, along with Satyagraha, was also the main pillars and the biggest practices in Mahatma Gandhi's life. And speaking of that, the next pillar is Satyagraha, which is pretty much the pillar of truthfulness, is telling the truth at all times with no exception. This exists because speaking the truth and being truthful in all aspects is hard. It's hard to do. We lie to ourselves, we tell white lies, we don't speak when we should, and this goes against the Jainist way. They want you to express yourself, your thoughts, your opinions, things you believe in, the things you don't. Be honest 100% all the time with every single thing you do. Because only through complete truth do we achieve universal oneness. And this is why right speech in Buddhism is also a core pillar. They are very similar in that aspect. Through this honesty, we vanquish our greed, our corrupt mind state, we vanquish our anger, our ego falls away, our jealousy resides, our expectation of what's to come or what is, our contentment for what we don't have. If we're being honest with ourselves and with others, and with everything we think at all times, this disappears. We don't really have an ego to cling to because we are with each moment and accepting it and speaking it and being it. Along with this, it also has to do with speaking up when it's needed. Again, why I said Gandhi took this so to heart in his act of nonviolence, but being an activist really means that. Because since we have a voice in Jainism, we must use it even if we don't want to. The fourth pillar, which is pretty simple, is Atseya, which really just means don't steal things. Don't take anything that is not directly given to you because it is not needed. And again, this is practiced in pretty much every religion around the world, and it's a pretty basic one in its own right. If it's not yours to begin with, don't beg for it. Don't try to pry it away secretly or in a cheap method. And if it is given to you, then accept it, then be with it. Then you can earn things, of course, but don't try to steal things or be cheap about how you do get them. The fifth is Brahmacharya, which is the most debatable one I feel like for anyone watching this video, because it is the art or the practice of abstinence in all physical formats. But it's not just sex, it's pretty much all physical pleasures in art, in music, and this is the breaking point for a lot of people in Jainism, and why we don't really learn about Jainism or see it anywhere is because since we have to abstain from all these bodily sensations, whether it be things we like to look at or things we like to listen to or things we like to feel or smell or taste, Jainists don't do that, which makes most of them pretty much ascetic monks who live a very, to the modern world, dull or boring life because it's not a westernized version. It's simply being in every moment in a very, 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 very simplistic fashion. There are no drugs in Jainism, there are no sex unless you are married with a spouse, and only then can it be done to procreate, to have children, and that's about it. This is all because physical pleasures attach us to our body. When we have sex, when we do drugs, we are infatuated by the effects it gives our body and the effects it gives our mind, and creates a dualistic input that they are different things, or that we are our body, when we're not. So only by straying away again from this illusion, by abstaining from these things, can we transcend that Maya. And the final one is known as Aparigraha. I hope I said it right again. This is basically just the art of non-attachment, the practice in itself of non-attachment in any format. Material things are bad. They just attach us again to this material world as we know it. So don't have material things. Relationships are bad. Personal stances on many topics are bad because again, they give us a one-sided view on reality, and that won't let us transcend it. This is necessary because in Jainism, the simplest life possible with the least amount of physical sensation or any type of relationship to the external world that doesn't involve the direct moment will not lead us to enlightenment or to nirvana in any sense. So to have any of that whatsoever in your life will only take you farther away. And that's why it's such a secluded, quiet, and peaceful religion in its own right. But besides that, there's really nothing else to Jainism. It's not too complicated. They don't believe in God because they view the universe is pretty much perfect as it is. And instead, we all become God when we attain nirvana. That means we just return to the universe, to the cosmic void as it is, and are part of what already is. So yeah, no really religious God in it whatsoever. to begin with. I know it's complicated, but that's because of how unique Jainism is and how odd its aesthetic values are, or anti-aesthetic values I should say. But other than that, there is just a lot of cultural input to Jainism that doesn't really have to do with the main pillars of what it practices, and I thought that's what really matters, are the main pillars of this religion itself, and that's what we're talking about today. So if you have any questions, any comments, if you know a Jainist, if you ever studied Jainism yourself or want to talk more about it or explain more, even to me, I'd love to hear it. Make sure to like, subscribe, and leave those comments below, and as always, I will see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it and want to help me create more, click right here to donate, and feel free to check out all my other content. Your support means the world to me, and it's part of what keeps me doing what I do.